we are reaching through the surface layers of the finite into the infinite or the internal dimension within ourselves, where there really is a oneness. And that is a very impossible thing for the mind to grasp as such, really, in its fullness, but it's definitely possible to recognize it through the practice. I mean, we are, in essence, all of us, Parashiva. We are the source beyond time and space, which then starts to unfold as Shiva and Shakti, which really are just two aspects of Parashiva, the ultimate. And what is difficult for us to understand is that it's kind of a paradox, is that there's both the transcendent and the immanent. And we get overwhelmed in a way by the senses and all of the stuff, the mind that is part of this immanence. It's the surface layers of our body and mind and so on. But what we are doing is we are reaching into the essence and penetrating that paradox. And we can really, we can feel, recognize. The words are difficult, but we can recognize the stillness, the pure potential that we are. And if we can relate to that, of course, then we are free in so many ways to listen. What does this transcendence want? What does my deeper self want? And even if it isn't what we, on an ego level, want, we relate to it and open to it, and we find in the long run that the outcome is much more balanced, gratifying, uplifting, and more really intelligent. That deeper reality that we can identify with instead of all of our identities, surface identities, that deeper identity of the real is really liberating. And I can only point to it, it doesn't have to be dramatic, it doesn't have to be anything you can be sitting on a bus, you can do all kinds of things in the world, and you can be involved on one level, but you don't have to be eaten up by it, taken up so that you really think that it's the end of it all. Because then, to the degree we think that, then we're investing in all the more limited aspects. I want to be famous, I want to be rich, I want to have a new relationship, and all of that is fine. It's okay. But don't be stuck in it. Because the minute you're stuck in it, then, what feels good for a moment gets to feeling not so good at all. So it's really just plain intelligence to invest in what is of lasting value for us. God is not out there. Parashiva is not out there. Parashiva is nowhere and everywhere, which, for the mind, is you're into quantum reality, and you don't really have a way of grasping that with the mind, but you can recognize it. It's a revelation when you let go of the surface stuff. Then this deeper recognition can reveal itself. We can feel in ourselves, the spanda, the spark of energy that is the first movement on the part of the transcendent, part of the Shiva aspect. The first movement of Shakti is spanda. And it's like, a spark that sets the whole world in motion. Everything in motion. And this is why we have the symbolism of the dancing Shiva, that it's movement, but it's movement that never loses connection with the pure potential, the transcendent. So that's why I like to call what we do rising energy practice. Is really very appropriate. We don't want to get stuck on this world, as such. We want to rise above it, not to run away from it, but to embrace deeper, higher vibrations that can nurture our connection with the eternal. So this is why I call the book I'm writing on Embrace Infinity, because that's what we are trying to do. That's what I'm trying to do. And that's what I'm trying to teach. But there are many phases, on the way to that, many stages, and I'm not pushing anybody to try to do anything or recognize anything. It will happen naturally. You just do the basics, and which is embrace the pain in yourself, embrace the sorrow, embrace what is not what you want it to be, and allow it to be transformed into what the deepest part of you wants it to be. And then you're aligned, with that level of experience in yourself. And gratitude and simple appreciation for life has an easier way of, in the end, coming out. Once you work your way through, your own resistance and your own doubts and your own fears, all of us, myself included, I have to work through all that. You don't stop being a human being, but, you get a different experience of what it is to be a human being. You get what you need. You don't get what you want. And when we finally accept that and embrace it fully and love it, whatever it is fine. What is it we want? I'd like to be as healthy as possible. I'd like to have some positive things in my life, but there are people who have lived through concentration camps and come out of it grateful, loving their captors. Same in Tibet. There's one monk in Tibet. He spent, I think, 10 years in a Chinese prison, and he was interviewed once he was out, and he was in Nepal, and they were saying, well, how do you feel now about these nasty Chinese who captured you and had you imprisoned for 10 years? And he said, I'm grateful to them. They were my teachers. What did he do? What did they teach you? They taught him real humility. They taught him how to constantly go into this eternal aspect of forgiveness, compassion. That kind of attitude is so inspiring to me. Not that I wish for anybody or myself to have extra mean, nasty challenges so that I can have an even deeper attitude like that. That's not the point. But it happened to him, and he dealt with it that way, and we can do it the same way.